Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows. Hi again, everybody. This week we're on the road again, this time smack dab in the center of California's San Joaquin Agricultural Valley in Modesto. And my guest is Orion Samuelson, the Dean of American Farm Broadcasters. He holds forth usually from Chicago, heard across the nation by millions of farmers and city folk alike. I first met Orion Samuelson 30 years ago at a farm broadcasters convention. The first thing I wanted to ask him was the status of agricultural broadcasting. Is farm radio still alive and well?
Still alive, certainly not as well as it used to be, and I think all of us face challenge. This is my 45th year at WGN in the heart of downtown Chicago. We do 16 agricultural reports daily from 4:50 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. And we do an hour-long morning show on Saturday, an hour-long noon show on Saturday. We do the hour-long television show that's a weekly show on 200 stations and Dish TV and Direct TV. But about a year ago, we did lose our 25-minute noon show Monday through Friday. And it is becoming a challenge. Our membership numbers are not what they used to be. I guess that kind of follows the trend in farming. There aren't as many farmers as there used to be. The need for it, I think, is as strong, if not stronger than ever. And it was interesting because I outlived 8 program managers at WGN who, when they came on the job, first thing they said is, we've got to get rid of that farm show at noon because it breaks up the flow of programming, whatever the flow of programming is. Well, I outlived 8 of them. But the last one, Mary June Rose, said, you're not generating as much income as you used to, and so, we have to do it differently. Now, Max Armstrong, my partner, and I are both there. We're both on staff, and we're doing the shorter reports. But the challenge is, in agribusiness, if 2 seed companies merge, you get 1 budget. You don't get 2. And at WGN in Chicago, for many, many years, we generated probably $4.5 million a year out of a $35 million income for the entire station. We're now down to $2.9 million is what we're generating, and according to the program manager, that wasn't enough. The other point they kept using was, well, we lose we lose city listeners at noon, and it's tough to get them back. I got over 800 emails from people who were very upset when the show went off the air, Monday through Friday. 40% came from city people. City people who said, we depend on you to let us know what mad cow disease is, what foot and mouth disease, to talk about food safety, to talk about food prices, to talk about schedules for county and state fairs, and to talk about how I can have a better lawn, a better garden, and all that. Nearly half of the people who were bothered that a farm show went off the air were not farmers.
And we have to remember also that from the earliest days of radio, particularly when there were not small-town stations, it was the big stations like WGN, like KOA in Denver, KSL in Salt Lake City, that were the link to what was happening at the Ag Department, to new developments for those rural farmers.
When I arrived at WGN, our president, Ward Quall, who hired me, just was a fervent believer in maintaining clear channel stations as a natural resource to reach communities in the Dakotas or Nevada that didn't have, as you say, that local radio station, but could get us, and particularly could get us at night. Stations like WSM in Nashville with John McDonald, WLW in Cincinnati with Bob Miller, and then you had the KOAs and the WCCO in Minneapolis with Maynard Speece and that group, WHO in Des Moines with Herb Plambeck. And those were all 50,000-watt clear channel stations, and we lobbied and fought to keep those 25 channels free. And I think it was probably sometime in the early 70s that we began to lose the fight. And now, for example, WGN has a station on our frequency in Las Vegas, and we have one on our frequency in Connecticut.
Well, being a child of the 50s, I used to listen to WHAM in Rochester, WBZ in Boston, Hobbs House on WCCO in Minneapolis, all the Chicago stations. It was WWL in New Orleans that was also doing a lot of that. And if I had not had the ability as a child, 10 years old, to tune around different cities, it broadened my education. I was the only kid in grade school who knew what Mardi Gras was because I'd heard the coverage on WWL.
And matter of fact, I was listening to WWL the other night. I wanted to hear a basketball game, and I just tooled around, and up in the Chicago area, we were able to get WWL. And those stations, as you say, really provided education for a lot of people. I grew up listening to WLS. I grew up on a dairy farm in western Wisconsin. Listened to WLS. That was the Prairie Farmer station, and that was the station that they had live bands at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they had the barn dance on Saturday night. And then later on, I moved to Chicago, and I worked with some of these people, and, you know, I just, there with my mouth open, I thought, my golly, I listened to these people as a kid. Now I'm working with them, and what a thrill that was, and still is.
Well, the two powerful voices out of Chicago are Orion Samuelson and Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey has been a dear friend of mine. I keep saying that I want to be like Paul Harvey when I grow up. Paul is now 86. When he was 82, he signed a 10-year contract with the capital city's ABC, which means he's going to live to be 92 because he's not going to let that contract go because it was $10 million a year. And so besides having broadcasting in common, we both have a home in Arizona. But that's where the similarity ends. Mine's worth $300,000, his is worth $8 million. But Paul and his wife Angel are just delightful people. They really are, and they're close friends. When I was inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame a year ago in November, Paul at that point had quit doing induction speeches, but when he was asked if he'd do it for me, he said, yes, I'll be happy to do it for Orion, and delivered the most eloquent 90-second introduction for the induction to the Hall of Fame, ending with this line. It was a night in November when we had a full moon eclipse, and it was a full moon and it was a full eclipse, and he ended his words by saying, tonight even the moon hides its face so we can pay full tribute to Orion Samuelson.
He wrote a commercial for, and I'll let you go here, the National Electric Power Institute. It was, and he used this line. It was so good I had to memorize it. The next time you see high voltage wires braced against a streaked and stormy sky, remember that they are bringing electricity to some far-off place where it is made, to some other place where it turns off the darkness. Now that's a commercial.
That is truly a commercial, and of course Paul writes most of his own commercials. He does use the product that he endorses on the air. So when I hear Paul do a commercial, I know that he really believes that this product will do everything it says because he has used the product. And matter of fact, I bought my Sleep Comfort bed because of Paul, and he was right.
Orion Samuelson, it's been 30 years too long since I've seen you last. Thanks for coming to the Valley, and thanks for taking the time.
I have to tell you, I enjoy this Valley. I first came into this Valley in 1959. Farm Broadcasters had a convention in Fresno. And that was the first time I had driven west of Des Moines, Iowa. And we took 3 weeks, and we came out of Los Angeles over the mountains and down into the valley. And I looked at this valley, and I thought, I've never seen anything like this before. It looks like totally useless, wasted land, but you put water on it, and it will grow anything. And, of course, I've been back many, many times since and continue to be fascinated by this Central Valley in California. It's an astounding place agriculturally.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.